This is CBS.
Well, everybody, it's me, Greg with Mike, and we're doing it before the show, and it's been let's just say, Mike, it's been a rough week.
Well, we knew it was a rough week when you, like on Tuesday, said, we got to do it before the show. You know that's when it's a rough week. And that's what happened. Greg messaged me and he said, like on Tuesday, we got to do it before the show because this week, even on Tuesday, had gone sideways.
Okay, well, we talked about how terrible Barry Weiss was on the Year in Review show. And who would have thought within the first week of 2026, she was trying to make herself a two-time champion already for leading off the worst of the year show at the end of the year. Because, holy shit, the new CBS Evening News. What a fucking piece of shit this show is.
Admittedly, it's gotten better the past 2 days, but those first 3 days, oh my gosh. Bad. Bad. Where should we start? Well, I think we should start on Monday. Let's start off with when it all began. Now, I'm not going to get into Saturday or Sunday when he originally appeared. He started on Monday as far as I'm concerned. Saturday and Sunday were just warm-ups. But Monday, maybe about 8 or 10 minutes into the show, either he screwed up with the script or CBS News screwed up with their script because he actually introduced the wrong story. And he actually, in the middle of this whole thing, was like, oh, first day jitters, ha ha ha, new employee on the job. It's like, I've never seen that with any anchors, any news anchors, nightly news anchors, even I think local news anchors. I've never seen them put up a graphic and then for like 10 seconds, oh, first day jitters, we screwed up, and then they throw up, some generic image like they do for like technical difficulties on The Simpsons, where the cameraman's drunk or something like that. It was horrible.
It was boom goes the dynamite level bad.
But that was enjoyable, though. This was just a train wreck. This was like deer in headlights. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But then Tuesday was better. There weren't any issues like that. But the one thing that really caught my ire, they're sort of human interest stories like the Steve Hartman stuff. And I think Steve Hartman's only on Fridays, but still those little quirky sort of end of newscast, lightweight type of things. It was about Marco Rubio and AI images, about AI images of Marco Rubio. And the words that Tony Dokoupil said were basically, well, Florida had a bad reputation, but Marco Rubio's turning it around. He's, like the most, not powerful, but, he's a superstar in Florida. And then after that article or that piece, and I was, as he was signing off, he said something to the extent of, we salute Marco Rubio for being a real Florida man. That can be taken a couple of ways. But the thing is, who's this we? Because I think Marco Rubio is a piece of human filth. So I'm guessing Tony Dokoupil salutes him. I'm guessing Barry Weiss salutes him. But that really sort of showed the real point of view of that entire CBS News organization. We salute you. That sounds like something you'd hear on state media.
Did you not see the segment where he was crying about something?
Well, that was on Wednesday. We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, God.
But I'll let you jump in. That's Wednesday. Go.
Yeah, he was crying for I don't know why he was crying. Why was he crying? I just saw the picture of him crying. I'm like, why is he crying on television?
Honestly, I wasn't really paying all that much attention that day, but I thought that Variety or some other major organization actually had a piece about that, about him crying. I don't know.
Hold on, let me
Okay,
try to find that.
you find it, and I'm going to add another observation. Which have you been watching the CBS Evening News this week?
Oh fuck no, I don't even watch it anyway. So,
Okay, I didn't know if you watch and notice what they're doing, but every day they've been in a different location.
oh
So
yes,
I
I
think
have noticed that.
yes, they were in studio on Monday, and then Tuesday they went to I forget where, but then Wednesday, oh no, Tuesday they're in Dallas, I believe, and then Wednesday I think in reaction to all the stuff with the ice stuff, he went to Minneapolis, or maybe he went to Minneapolis yesterday, but tonight he was in San Francisco. This stuff costs money. Where the hell is CBS getting this money from?
The Ellison's piggy bank.
Well, I was going to say, after paying a certain president so much money, I'm surprised they have money left, but it's really disturbing. I don't want to say disturbing. That's not necessarily disturbing in that way, but traveling and even like the human interest piece on is Miami on Tuesday. That's where he went. He went to Miami. He went to that Venezuelan restaurant where it looked like he was in front of a green screen because there was no dimension. There's no. It looked like he wasn't a 3D being. It looked like a 2D image. Okay, so he went to Miami, then he went to Dallas on Wednesday, and then Thursday, yesterday he was in Minneapolis. Today he was in San Francisco, and even on Wednesday when he was in Dallas, what was the human interest piece? It was basically like him filleting Jerry Jones. Not even joking about that though. Yeah, they went into Jerry Jones's Dallas Cowboys branded helicopter, flew around Dallas, and went to the new the compound or whatever you want to call it, where the facilities, and it was again basically just like, hey, Jerry Jones, he's been with the Cowboys now for 37 years, and he's basically the king of Dallas. It's just been a real weird week, at least the first 3 days of this week with that new broadcast.
Okay, I have the piece about him crying from Yahoo News. Okay,
All right, let's hear it.
Tony Dokoupil's first week at CBS Evening News anchor under Barry Weiss continued to raise eyebrows during the new host's Tuesday half hour, which was broadcast from Miami, Florida, as part of his Live from America tour to celebrate his first week on the job. Dokoupil, who was raised in Miami for a time as a child, did a companion interview with CBS Miami and fought back tears when he was asked why the city was his favorite place in the world. It makes me emotional. It's so funny, he said, as he started wiping back tears and saying, let me get a second here to compose himself.
I thought I saw everything when he did the show in Miami on Tuesday, but I apparently missed that. And it wouldn't have been cut out. And the thing is, going back to what we talked about with his little herpy derp dance around when they showed the wrong news piece on the screen on his first day, they edited that out, presumably for at least streaming, but also possibly for a West Coast feed, I assume. They didn't edit that out on the East Coast. I saw that and I'm like, this is just a total shit show. It was bad.
It was bad, and CBS should feel bad.
No, they don't feel bad. Paramount instilled who they want to run the news department, another,
Black.
Butt kisser, and she put her man, Dokoupil, in charge. And I told you what happened on Tuesday when talking about Marco Rubio. But you did say that this going around the country is just a this week thing. You didn't make it sound like the article implied it sounded like it was just this week. So I'm going to assume Monday he's going to be back in New York, and then Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, unless, heavens to bid, the country explodes, just blows up like sort of what happened in Minneapolis and Portland, and who the hell knows what's going on.
Yeah, who the hell knows what's going to happen by the time we release this episode.
We may have to. Well, hold on. We may, given who the hell knows what's going to happen before we release this episode. Maybe we need to force this out on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, before any other breaking news happens.
Yeah, I
And
have to be up all night after because I got to take my dad to Applebee's after this for half price apps so I can watch the end of the Peach Ball on Applebee's. So,
okay, let's maybe consider a little bit later then. But also, I mean, even tonight, and I don't know if this was by design by CBS News, but they did a piece about
Black.
Venezuela because, that's what's been happening the last week. But still, Mr. Black met with a whole bunch of oil executives today, and basically the sort of gist I got was how are they going to take over the oil in Venezuela? So don't give me that bullshit about Maduro and drugs and whatnot. It was about the friggin' oil all the time. And I think we all knew that.
oh, it was no shit. It was about the oil.
But still, I mean, that was, I think, like the main piece after the whole Minnesota and Portland stuff was Mr. Black met with CEOs of oil companies today in the White House, and they were basically talking about plans for what to do with the Venezuelan oil because, who gives a flying you know what about the people in Venezuela or the quote unquote drugs in Venezuela or Maduro. Nope. Mr. Black has access to the oil, and he's going to make his really rich friends even really richer. Have you crapped enough on CBS News for one before the show?
Yeah, I don't want to spend any more talking about Barry Weiss or Katie Tur's idiot husband. Now, isn't it funny that he's married to Katie Tur? I guess that's fitting, huh?
But still, yeah, Katie Tur's husband is an idiot.
Okay, well, let's forget about that. We got to talk about more serious things.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Is this the David Stearns part of the show?
Oh, yes, we got to talk about the David Stearns. I was going to segue into what you bought, but yeah, sure. Let's talk about the David Stearns part of the show because really.
We can wait for what I bought and by association kind of sort of you bought. No, let's talk about David Stearns and about how he's absolutely ruining the Mets and what you told me this afternoon about your little fan fest.
Oh, yeah, the Mets aren't going to have their fan fest this year. Gee, I wonder why they're not going to have their fan fest this year. Oh, I guess they're afraid of backlash. I guess Steve Cohen and David Stearns are colossal cowardly pieces of shit that they don't want to be confronted by their fans.
Well, as I told Greg earlier this afternoon, the Guardians last year made the decision that the Guardians Fan Fest, which was really successful for well over a decade, I believe, they are making that event now every 3 years. The next one will be in 2027 because the late owner, Larry Dolan, I think he said it was something to do with money. But the thing is, money is not a freaking issue because every fan fest I've gone to, even going back as far as the 90s, was jam-packed with people, especially when you have all the players there and there's touting of autographs. You buy an autograph ticket for, I think it's like $35 and you can get 4 random people's autographs. You could get good people, you could get scrubs. But everything I've heard over the last 10 years, 12 years, FanFest is huge. FanFest is back. Now FanFest is gone because I'm guessing, Larry Dolan from Beyond the Grave is like, oh, it's too expensive to bring players in and I'm not generating enough money or maybe just I hate the fans. And that used to be such a great event. I was telling Greg stories about the FanFest events from admittedly 32, 33 years ago. That was amazing. You'd have newscasters there. They'd be doing live broadcasts. They'd be doing radio shows. There'd be players everywhere. You could approach them. They'd sign autographs. There were no fees at that point. And it was packed. And it was in a hotel. It wasn't even at Progressive Field or someplace adjoining Progressive Field. This was in the Marriott Hotel. It was just the 18th and 19th floors of the Marriott Hotel, but you had complete access to everybody. Those were the days. And now they're sort of taking away our fun. They're taking away our access. And not just in Cleveland. You mentioned, obviously, the Mets. The one team that does it right, not even joking, the Reds. They put on a hell of a fan fest every year. They have a ton of players. They bring in like all the coaches, and I don't even think they charge for autographs. So now, yeah, I'm thinking, hey, maybe I need to take the 4.5 hour drive down to Cincinnati and go to a real event instead of one that's basically just asking for money and is only every 3 years. But yeah, they're doing you dirty.
Oh, and the fact that it's been a month since Diaz signed with the Dodgers and Alonso signed with the Orioles, and neither Cohen nor Stearns have held a press conference addressing what the fuck their plan is.
And even before we started, I asked Greg about that, and I said, what is the plan? And there's a couple of people still in play. There's like Kyle Tucker, and I think there's a few other people. I know, like, even though you don't need a catcher, I know Real Muto's out there, and there's players. But the thing is, spring training, probably by the time you hear this, starts in a little over a month. I mean, it starts usually around Valentine's Day, maybe as late as the 16th or 17th of February. But still, you don't see good quality free agents waiting until February to get signed, or even later, March. So something's got to give.
And let me just say this. If Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger sign elsewhere, and you have a lineup of just Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, and a bunch of kids who are on the Syracuse Mets roster, the fans are going to let them hear it on opening day.
I mean, that's the type of roster that the Guardians would put out there. Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan and, well, Kyle Manzardo's a pretty good player after his first full season. But after that, it's like Brian Rocchio. He's good defensively, but no, he doesn't really have a bat. But and then Nolan Jones has been absolute dumpster fire, and we got him last year, former Guardians prospect. And they got rid of John Kenzie Noel, big Christmas, but also at the same time, just yesterday, Baltimore, who picked John Kenzie Noel up, they just DFA'd him. So who the heck knows what's going to happen with him? His career may be over, or he may be bouncing around, maybe go to Japan. Yeah, and the thing is, the Guardians, we need offense. What have the Guardians done this offseason? Hey, let's get more pitching. Let's get more relievers. We don't freaking need relievers. We need a right field bat. We need a center field bat. We need a second baseman. Bazana may be coming up this year, so we don't need a second base bat. That's not a high priority. Yeah, maybe we could use a shortstop. Certainly we could use catching because, between Bo Naylor and Austin Hedges, I don't think they even batted above the Mendoza line last year. Even though Bo Naylor has some pop, I think he hit like close to 20 home runs last year, at least like 15. But still, they both batted probably about 200, maybe even less combined. That's not good, even for catchers. That's not good for anybody, but even catchers are notoriously like the worst hitters by average on the team. As Greg told me before we started this, we may be going to a lot more minor league games this year than giving money to the big clubs.
I forgot that Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty are still with the Mets for now.
Brett Beatty's still with the Mets?
Yes, he still is there. I don't know why he's still with the Mets.
They've dicked around with him for like, what, 4 seasons, 3 seasons, and he's still there?
Yes.
But Vientos, I can understand. I mean, Vientos, he's got power. His average sort of dipped last season. But Brett Beatty has been like up and down to Syracuse and back. How many times, like in the last 3 years?
A lot.
Too many. That's exactly the right answer.
And okay, don't get me fucking started on David Stearns' grand plan. I'm going to replace Pete Alonso with a guy who has never played first base in his life in Jorge Polanco.
That's why they signed Jorge Polanco to play first?
Yes.
I thought you also said that they were going to put Vientos at first and they'll put Polanco at third. I could be wrong about that.
That's his grand plan. I'm going to replace Pete Alonso. Who needs his 120 RBS? I'm going to replace him with a second baseman who never has played the position because I want to jack off to my own press clippings about how great I am. And Mike, you know how much I hated Mike McCagnon when he was with the Jets?
I think we all
I
know how much you hated him. Yeah.
I hated him because all he would do is make stupid moves because he would jack off to press reports from beat writers about how great he was and how great he was at everything. That's David Stearns. He jacks off to how great a baseball mind he is, and he's not a great baseball mind. His Milwaukee Brewers teams won because they played in the shittiest division in the National League.
And they've got good players in the farm system. I mean, they developed Jackson Churio, and they had Christian Yelich. They've had him for like 7 years now. And they also find like diamonds in the rough. They got like Andrew Vaughn last year for next to nothing from the Brewers. For Aaron Savali, actually, former Guardian pitcher, but also connection to what we just talked about. Guardians traded Aaron Savali for Kyle Manzardo. That worked out pretty well for us. But yeah, there's like a certain mentality in the smaller markets, like your Cleveland, like your Milwaukee, like your Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't get it because they're just beyond reproach, I think. But still, there's a reason why Milwaukee is at the top of the Central every year with a low payroll. There's a reason the Guardians are first or second every year, even though they have no payroll because they're afraid to spend a friggin' dollar.
Okay, but the thing David Stearns doesn't get is you're in a weak division with Milwaukee. You're in New York, where you have the Phillies and Atlanta. That mentality is not going to work.
Let's not even shortchange the Marlins, because the Marlins were still in the playoff hunt until the last week of the season. But still, I get what you're saying. Hey, I think we need to change the subject matter because I think both of our blood pressures are going too high.
Well, I'd rather change anything than talk about the Nico Harrison of Major League Baseball.
A year ago, I wouldn't have gotten that reference, but I do now. So how about we talk about some purchases? And not just some purchases, but the impacts of those purchases. So we're going to go back, I believe it was last Friday, so a week ago as we record. And Greg sent me, and I did some searching on eBay, specifically for what are called telop slides, which are those images that they'd show if you had like a technical difficulty, or we'll be back from this commercial, or after these commercials we'll come back, that static image. So I told Greg that I was looking through these images because I saw something on a Reddit group, a vintage TV group, about these slides, and it's like, hey, cool. I like these different slides where they're used for, technical difficulties or whatnot, identification purposes. And I told Greg about it, and I think he did a Google search, and he approached me sometime on last Friday night and said, Mike, I'm sort of going to give you an ultimatum. Buy this, and if you don't buy this, I'm going to buy this. And I looked at it, and I'm like, do I really want to spend $36 on this thing that Greg showed me? And ultimately I said yes. And I received it on Monday afternoon. And as soon as I got home from work, the first thing I did, and I didn't have a whole heck of a lot of time because I had to take my dad to a doctor's appointment, but the first thing I did was I took the slide that I purchased, and I have a slide converter, a digital scanner, and I unpacked the whole slide thing, and I put the converter I unpacked, and I took the slide and put it in there, and within about 8 minutes or so, I had images, and I sent them immediately off to Greg and Chico. And one of the things that we talked about in relation to this slide is it's going to be the cover photo for our Facebook page until I say it's not, which Greg apparently agreed to, which is fine. It's a great photo if you haven't seen it. There's a little bit of inside jokes there, but they're inside jokes that we talked about repeatedly. And oh, by the way, we're going to repeat that joke tonight because that person is going to be a guest star in the series that we're going to talk about. I don't know if Greg even knew that. He sort of looked up when I said that. Yes, we're going to talk about him and we're going to talk about them and yeah, all that fun stuff. But then Greg, after I don't know if it's because of me buying the slide, he bought a slide of his own and he actually got it this afternoon. And now Greg doesn't have the technological abilities I have with my little photo scanner, my slide scanner. I don't know what you did, if you just did it with your phone or how you may have jury rigged it, but you got an image of your slide.
Yeah, I took a photo on with my ceiling light. And I took a photo on my iPhone, and then I just cropped it and just took the picture out of it. So, yeah. So, do you want me to tell the audience what the slide is from?
I think you have to. I was going to say, I like how you did that rudimentary without like investing $170 like I did for a slide scanner, but also at the same time, I've got probably close to 200 slides, so it actually came to good use when I bought it. But yes, I think you need to tell the masses what is your slide.
My slide is from the 1987-88 season on CBS, and it is a slide of what else would I buy? I bought a tele slide of Knots Landing.
And it absolutely screams 1986-87. Not
Oh,
even joking.
it
Oh, yeah.
does,
Oh, yes.
and you have all your main people in the cast. You have let me just go from left and right. We have Donna Mills, we have Kevin Dobson, we have Bill Devane, we have Michelle Lee, Ted Shackelford, Joe Van Ark, all on this slide, and it's so great. This is like one of the best pieces of memorabilia I've ever owned, and that's saying a lot.
It's really cool. Not even joking. And that sort of inspired me to look for more slides. But the thing is, there's not a lot of slides that interest me. A lot of the slides are actually like from 50s and 60s sporting events. Nothing wrong with that. And they do have a certain look that you'd expect from the 50s and 60s. But no, I was actually going to buy that Knots Landing slide if Greg didn't. And actually, I would not even joking, Greg. I would have gifted it to you. Dead serious.
Oh,
I would have converted it to the image using the old scanner, and then I would have gifted it to you because I know if there's any place that slide needs to be, it's in your possession. But also, another thing regarding my slide, and this is, I think, one of those things that we sort of negotiated with. Not if I, but when I pass away, Greg wants this slide. And I said, absolutely yes. Seriously? Yeah, if I get bored with this slide, I'll just stick it in probably some sort of card sleeve and I'll put it in like a padded envelope and I'll just ship it to Long Island so Greg can enjoy the ever living heck out of it. Oh, we haven't even said what my slide's about. We talked about your slide. I think everybody's seen what my slide is. So there was a movie. It was filmed in 1969, but believe it or not, it didn't air on television to 1977. So NBC or somebody sat on this for 8 years. And it had to do with like an Italian prisoner of war caught by the United States, and he gets enrolled or forced to join I think the U.S. Army or the U.S. military at the very least. And I got to get the name of it because the name is long. The name of it is called Don't Push, I'll Charge When I'm Ready. And as soon as I bought this, the first thing I did was like went on IMDb, went on Wikipedia. What the heck is this all about? Because I've never heard of it. And so I started doing research. This was a movie on NBC that didn't air until like 11:30 at night on a Sunday. So this is not something that you would have seen in like prime time, in 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or what have you. And the movie in the 80s, up until like the late 80s, even early 90s, it was one of those shows that you'd find probably at about like 3 or 4 a.m. airing overnights as filler. It's probably like one of those prize movie type of things, movies that nobody gives a flying what about. and probably cost like $10 to rent or to air. And from what I've seen, the general reviews of this movie are it's a piece of crap. Now you know why people sat on it for 8 years until they showed it. But I was also looking at the cast because the main person, the reason we're talking about this, is Cesar Romero. And if you've listened to us for any amount of time, you know what Cesar Romero is infamously known for regarding a certain citrus fruit and a baby pool. But beyond him, listen to some of these people. This is a pretty good cast. You had Dwayne Hickman, Dobie Gillis, Cesar Romero, obviously, Soupy Sales, and Soupy Sales, he would have turned 100, I think, yesterday as we're recording. I think January 8th was his birthday. Jerry Colonna, who's a pretty known name, Gino Conforti, Avery Schreiber was in this.
What?
Avery Schreiber was in this movie. Not even joking. The Frito Bandito.
You mean one half of Burns and Schreiber was in this?
Yeah. He was credited as an announcer. I did try going on YouTube to see if I could find this. It's not out there.
Oh.
Which is a damn shame. Seriously, I want to see this. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to take another, like 30 years, 40 years for it to hit the public domain. I want to see what this is all about. But yeah, Avery Schreiber was in it. And like I said, Dwayne Hickman was in it. Cesar Romero was obviously in it. Harley Bear, another name I think we've talked about in the past, was in it. This was a movie that had names. But apparently it was like flimsy enough where NBC sat on it for 8 years. Go figure.
Okay, now, Mike, what is in this image that I had to bring it to your attention?
Well, as I said, Cesar Romero's in this image. And again, if you've paid attention to our podcast or Gilbert Gottfried's podcast or Fun for All Ages, if you've listened to any of them for any length of time, you know the big thing with Cesar Romero is he supposedly liked having young boys. I shouldn't say young boys. Let's call them like college age, young adults over the age of 18. Gay boys, gay people, throw orange wedges at his naked ass while he's standing in a kiddie pool. That was apparently his fetish, his thing. Boys, again, probably like 18 to 24 and of the gay persuasion, throwing orange wedges or tangerine wedges at his naked ass as he's standing in a baby pool. And the thing is, this image has Cesar Romero with, on the slide, the name of that movie. And what is Cesar Romero holding? He's holding 2 frigging oranges. And it's just like the greatest image there ever is. If you know, you know, as people would say. And I posted this on the Fun for All Ages group, and I didn't put it on Instagram or Threads, but it got there. I think Greg did that. But I put it on the Facebook group, and the overall reaction from the Fun for All Ages group primarily is like, this is the greatest image in the history of mankind. If Gilbert Gottfried was around, he'd want this image in his collection. It's like, shucks, you're too generous, too kind. It's maybe the most absolutely abstract purchase I've ever made, but it is so damn good. I love it. And as Greg can attest, you know we like doing our goofy little backgrounds. I made 2 backgrounds related to what we've talked about tonight with that image of Cesar Romero holding 2 oranges in his hand.
And when I found it, it was like finding something from like Al Capone's vault.
Oh yeah, Greg reacted to this like this is just like God's gift to humanity. And I'm glad one of us jumped on it. Not that I think anybody was clamoring to get this slide, but I think Greg and I knew the inside jokes and whatnot related to Cesar Romero and whatnot. And yes, this may be like part of my new legacy, maybe like my non-game show legacy, because my legacy there is Malcolm. This is my non-game show television legacy. This slide from this TV movie from close to 60 years ago with Cesar Romero proudly holding 2 oranges.
Oh, this is just so unbelievable. Oh my God. But let's be honest, I'm very proud of that Knots Landing slide that I got.
Oh, it's great. The Knots Landing slide, again, it's like a flashback to 1986, 1987. When I looked at it, I'm like, okay, this is like peak Knots Landing, mid 80s. It's a beautiful thing.
God, if another one from Knots Landing showed up, like I would be like, if I had 2 of them, if I had like another slide from like another season Knots Landing, that would be like terrific.
You know what I'm looking for right now?
What?
Knots Landing slide. Let's see if there's another one out there.
Oh, let's hope.
I don't see anything like what you. Well, I don't see anything like what you have, like that technical difficulties type of slide, or just show slide. I see different like 35 millimeter slide transparencies of like Kevin Dobson and his son, and some promotional slides. And who is this? Lisa Hartman with Chip and Dale.
What?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Greg's spending more money. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, hold on. Wait a second. Chico's here. I got to bring him in here.
Yes. This needs to be done now. Yes, do it.
We need to let him know about this. I was going to wait to take a break, but you know what? Fuck this. We got to let him know. He's in the waiting room. I got to bring him in from the waiting room for this. Oh. Jeez, what's taking the freaking connection so goddamn long? Jeez.
Usually he just jumps in, but now, the one time we want him in here, he's just taking his sweet old time.
Yeah, the Zoom freaking bugs are just making it worse. Come on already, Zoom.
I think it's already, Chico.
Oh, you know what? Maybe let's take that break, and maybe by the time the break is done, he'll be in the room. So we'll take a break, and we'll come right back right after these messages from whatever the fuck I put in. So let's see what I put in. Will I put in like a ABC commercial with Ernie Anderson narrating? Will I put a commercial for Knots Landing in it? I don't know. Well, we'll just have to find out. Let's see.
We will return to Murder by Natural Causes, starring Hal Holbrook.
A black widow in the flesh, and her pleasure is murder. A web of mystery, a Jick and a fat man. Then, a psychotic killer gives new meaning to terror.
You just stay away from my family!
The only one who dares face him, the Equalizer, all Wednesday.
Lies.
She knows, Abby. She knows what?
They have a way of catching up with some people.
If you leave, I might as well be dead.
Do you know anything about him?
A man pays a little bit of attention to me, and all of a sudden he's a dope dealer.
There's this guy I'm a little suspicious about. I just want him checked out.
Knots Landing.
Tuesday. It's an unforgettable night of comedy and romance. First,
a man and a woman can be just friends, you know.
Why?
Angela confesses.
I love Tony.
You sure it's
Positive.
The season premiere of Who's the Boss. Then, 3 guys give motherhood a try.
Super absorbent. Bring it over. Okay, now what? Okay, spinner. A
special preview of Full House.
Baby's a pig.
And Mike lands a new job.
If I have a problem with my unit,
call me.
I will.
And all new Growing Pains at a special time. Then he needs a housekeeper and she needs a home.
I'm getting deported.
Who's going to take care of the kids?
I knew you'd be broken up.
They found a solution.
You pick this woman to be your wife? I do. Okay.
A special preview of I Married Dora. Then, it's the morning after.
I'm sorry, I just don't feel right about it.
Why do you keep saying that? Why are you so upset? Why do you always get the sheet?
Moonlighting ends a special night of comedy. Tuesday.
Tomorrow, MacGyver returns.
He's going to kill us.
What's it going to take? What's the price?
The season premiere of MacGyver. Then, the New York Jets square off with the New England Patriots. Eastern Division rivals clash on ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. Tomorrow after MacGyver.
CBS Sports Break, sponsored by Bud Light.
Good evening. The story of Week 13 in the NFL is hail to the Redskins, who today clinched their third divisional title in the last 5 years. And quarterback Jay Schrader led them there with a vengeance. The San Francisco 49ers also clinched a spot in the playoffs, and they did so in record style. Joe Montana clicked on his first 17 passes to run his streak to 22 straight completions, a new NFL mark. And in a battle of AFC division leaders, Indianapolis held off Cleveland. More after this. On this Heisman Trophy weekend, last year's winner, Vinny Testaverde, made his first start for Tampa Bay and scored his first NFL touchdown. But New Orleans wrapped up a playoff berth. In all, 7 active Heisman Trophy winners scored today. For CBS Sports Break, I'm Brian Musburger.
This is CBS.
Okay, we're back here. We found Chico from whatever room the Zoom bugs were taking him captive in, and we've rescued him. We've kind of rescued him like frickin' Mike's sister in the last episode of Stranger Things.
Her name
Holly.
is Holly, damn it.
All right, Holly Wheeler, unlike what the fucking Tony, what's-his-face at CBS Evening News did with Marco Rubio, we truly salute you. So fuck you.
Tony Dokoupil.
What kind of a stupid name is that anyway?
I knew you were going to say something about that. I don't know, but I just wanted to give clarity on what that person's name is. But also, I do think we need to talk about why we brought in Chico at this specific time. Now, Chico doesn't know this. We mentioned this before we went to the break, but this sort of like inspired Greg to say, hey, Chico's got to be here to hear about this and to see this.
I'm always late for a before the show.
Look, Chico, you're not going to believe what Mike just found.
And seriously, I think Greg, after he heard this, beyond, hey, we got to get Chico in here to talk about this, I wouldn't be surprised if Greg spends money on this. And the thing is, it's only $13. I'm going to put it in the chat so you guys can see this, because Greg hasn't seen this, and certainly Chico has not seen this. And while I pull this up, I will let you guys know what this is. All right, there we go. So what I've put in the chat, this is a slide or transparency from 1989. I'm guessing a slide of Lisa Hartman with Chip and Dale. Yes, the Rescue Rangers are with Lisa Hartman.
This is the show image.
What happened to the show image being the Knots Landing slide that Greg had, which is an absolute thing of beauty?
No, this is an absolute thing of beauty.
Looks like Chip is trying to, Chip or Dale, they're trying to score Lisa Hartman, which, you know, God bless them.
Oh, man, I am so, considering buying this, but the thing is, if it's a transparency, if it's like a 4x5 transparency, that's not going to fit in the slide scanner that I have. I'd actually have to put that in the flatbed scanner and play around with it. Well, okay, hold on. Approximate size, 35 millimeter in standard slide mount. So this is a slide. This is a 35 millimeter slide. Damn it, Greg. If I buy this slide, then I'm going to have to will over 2 slides to you when I die. I may just buy this, do what I did with the Cesar Romero slide, and then just ship both of them to you, through U.S. Postal Service. Because I know you'd probably enjoy these, not necessarily a lot more than me. I mean, you definitely enjoy the Lisa Hartman one more than I would. But, oh my gosh. The fun we're having looking for different slides of TV shows. But actually, I did do a search for Knots Landing slide, Greg, and I found a lot of 103 slides from Knots Landing. It mentions Nicolette Sheridan and Scott Baio. $75.
What the fuck is? Wait, why the fuck is Scott Baio mentioning this?
I'm guessing he's like promoting Zapped or something. Now let me take a look at this. Okay. Oh no, these don't appear to be necessarily from Knots Landing. I see a slide here that has Nicolette Sheridan with Michelle Lee. So I'm guessing maybe these are candids. Is it possible Nicolette Sheridan was dating Scott Baio at some point?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Wait a second. If this is Nicolette Sheridan, I just found an image of her with the most 1980s hair, like 1984, 85 hair possible. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on a second. Here's Scott Baio. Let me see what this says. Nicolette Sheridan and Scott Baio date. They're on a date, it does appear. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah, of course, because Scott Baio was coming off winning the Oscar for Zapped.
You got to date an Oscar winner. I totally get that. But yeah, there's a couple of slides. It looks like that possibly they're on a date and the paparazzi caught them. So these are not necessarily Knots Landing specific. I found another slide with Nicolette Sheridan and Michelle Lee. So this appears to be like everybody. Wait, hold on. Who is? I can't scroll all the way down to see who this is. It says Cullen, but it's not Bill Cullen and it's not Peter Cullen. So I'm curious as to what Cullen brother that is. And if that's, again, Nicolette Sheridan with like the most 80s hair possible, like 84, 85. Oh, there's another set of images of her with that hair. Wait, hold on. I saw the name Cullen. Let me go back here. Maybe I can pull it up. But there's 103 slides. $75 if you want like Nicolette Sheridan slides out the friggin' ass. But I did see actually, okay, a press kit for Knots Landing, Michelle Lee. Press kit, photos and slides. Looks like there's about 15, 25, looks like about 31 slides, and looks like about 6 8x10s. That's $150 on eBay. It says, 6 black and white photos and 30 color slides. And some are from the 300th episode wrap party.
Oh!
I knew that would get your interest.
Oh.
So, yeah, these are not slides from, like, promotional slides like we've been talking about. These are actually slides from the show, and I'm getting, as it said, slides from the wrap party for the 300th episode. Yeah, and actually there's a Warner Brothers paperwork with it that says Knots Landing 300th episode wrap party. 17 slides.
Oh, yes, because Warner Brothers, because you know who they bought the rights to Knots Landing from.
Paramount Televictions.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't expecting that, but that's beautiful. But also it does come with Knight Rider 2000. What the hell? There's paperwork for Knight Rider 2000 in this, dated 1991, from MCA Television. And it just looks like a brief synopsis of Knight Rider 2000. And wait, are these are Knight Rider 2000 slides? Wait, so you're getting 30 slides of Knots Landing and another 13 slides of Knight Rider 2000? How the hell is this not sold? Okay, but yeah, enough about Lisa Hartman and Chip and Dale, and enough about Knots Landing slides and how Greg's going to spend too much money on slides he can't even convert into some sort of digital imagery. What else do we have on the slate before we get into a very special episode tonight?
All right, well, we got to mention at the time of recording this, we're recording this during the Peach Bowl between Indiana and Oregon, and we got to say, what a freaking game last night in the Fiesta Bowl between Ole Miss and Miami. How amazing is it that Carson Beck, who left Georgia, is now playing for a national championship with Miami?
I think I mentioned this to Greg earlier. I don't know if it made this cut. I told Greg that one of my students, he just transferred from Miami to my school back in probably about October, late September. And he represents the U all the time. Big Miami fan, big Dolphins fan, big Miami Heat fan, Marlins fan even. And I saw absolutely zero of the game last night. The way I found out about who won was because of our little chat. Somebody mentioned that Miami won. I didn't even know the score till I got to work this morning. And when I saw that Miami won, the first thing in my head is, oh, I know who I'm going to be hearing from first thing tomorrow morning. And lo and behold, like clockwork, who is the first student to see me today? The student who came from Miami. And he's wearing his Miami University sweatshirt. And it's like everything I predicted about the kid came true. And I just knew he was going to come in and just talk about the game. But also, as I told him, this isn't really surprising. Miami might be a 10 seed, but at some point earlier this year, they were ranked number 2. So it's not out of the realm possibility, but also at the same time, Penn State earlier this year was ranked, 3? And they were well out of the top 25 at the end of the year. So you never know what's going to happen. Texas, too. Remember, Texas was like the preseason number 1, and Arch Manning got off to a bad start against Ohio State in that first game, and their season really never recovered.
But it's so great to see the University of Miami finally back competing for a national championship. And I mentioned on ESPN News after the game, what did they air after the Fiesta Bowl? They aired the 30 for 30 of the U.
Which is one of the best.
Oh, yes. And also, Bernie Kosar gets a lot of screen time in that documentary, Mike.
Well, Bernie Kosar, he's done a number of 30 for 30s, not just about the U, but if you remember the 30 for 30 called Broke, about athletes going broke because they couldn't manage their money or because they had friends and family, quote unquote, coming out of the woodwork, Bernie Kosar lost everything.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson lost everything. Even yesterday, and I found out about this because we had a special guest at school yesterday, Kareem Hunt, after his rookie year, he told us he had like $2 million in automobiles that were gifted to him by Kansas City dealerships. He had so much money. He had so much clout. He was the king of Kansas City at this point because he led the NFL in rushing his rookie year, and that was before Patrick Mahomes started. That was the last year Alex Smith started. He was the king of Kansas City, and then he did his little thing, assaulting a woman or whatnot. And it all came crashing down, and he said within like 6 months, he was back in Cleveland while being suspended, living with his mom, with no cars. He went from the high highs to the low lows. Admittedly, some of it was self-inflicted. Well, most of it was self-inflicted, but Bernie Kosar was on that one. That's another great one that I would actually recommend people to see. If they ever show it again, the Broke 30 for 30.
But what I loved about the U is when they talk about the first Miami team that won the national championship in '84 under Schnellenberger when they beat Nebraska, I came away thinking about, man, if Howard Schnellenberger had stayed in Miami, he'd be like right up there with Bear Bryant or Nick Saban as like one of the greatest college coaches of all time, because he did like a fantastic job building that program. Because they were like in '79 when he got the job, literally nothing. And then 5 years, he built them to a championship power.
And that staying power must have lasted for, close to 15 years? Maybe even a little bit longer? It went from 83, 84. I remember that Fiesta Bowl in like 84, 85. Oh my gosh, that was a classic game. But that lasted from 84, 85 until, it probably lasted, you could say, till like 2002 to like Clinton Portis and Willis McGahee. And then after that, they sort of had a downturn. And also, I should add Andre Johnson, another great wide receiver. But now in like the last 3-5 years, Miami's back, baby.
I was just saying, Miami's rise to prominence and continued prominence to this day, classic example of the slow play in college football. And for some reason, I think people always seem to underestimate the Hurricanes, even today. Miami, the only ACC player in the college football playoff. The only one. Duke won the tournament, or Duke won the season, but Miami got the spot.
Yeah, but also remember, Duke had 5 losses. So that's probably why they didn't get into the playoff over Tulane or JMU. I mean, nothing against Tulane and JMU. They had great seasons, but when they got to the playoff, man, they got steamrolled.
They got ugly.
But let's not discount the year Ole Miss had, especially winning 2 playoff games after their coach basically, got out of Dodge.
And that quarterback, what's his name? Trinidad
Chambliss.
He good.
I don't know how he's going to be in the pros. I mean, because he did try to apply for another year at Ole Miss, and he got denied. So he's probably going to go to the draft now. So I'm wondering. I would guess maybe he's a low day 2 pick, high day 3 pick, possibly.
Yeah, he's one of those who's probably about a 3rd or 4th round pick, who's a project, maybe not unlike, dare I say, Shadur Sanders. He's not one of the top picks, but also, Greg, I don't know if you saw this, since you're talking about how his quest got denied for another year. Supposedly, he's lawyered up, or has a lawyer, who is like the big name in college athletic law. So he's going to the best of the best to fight this tooth and nail.
Well, I'm just excited to see. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Dante Moore yet. He hasn't declared for the draft yet, but I think Indiana, Oregon, I think safe to say if Dante Moore declares, these are the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft.
Not just top 2 quarterbacks, top 2 picks. Because if you think about it, the Raiders need a quarterback. They got the number 1 pick. Your favorite Geno Smith is not going to be there much longer. Plus also, well, he's what? He's 36?
Yeah, he's old now.
He's old. He got paid. And of course, it figures Mark Davis would be stupid enough to pay him. But also, with that 2nd overall pick, this is another team that needs a quarterback. I forget which team it is. Oh, the Jets. How can I forget it's the Jets? And yeah, the Jets need a quarterback in the worst way, because I'm not even joking when I say this. I think Justin Fields, in half the games he played this year, he threw for under 50 yards passing. Now, admittedly, Garrett Wilson wasn't with the team for like 2/3 of the season. And actually, I saw a crazy stat, Greg, and I couldn't believe this. This isn't the stat about the interceptions. This is even more amazing. Garrett Wilson was the leading receiver for the Jets this year with like 380 yards or 370 yards. And Garrett Wilson didn't play a game after like week 7. That's pathetic.
Here's my thing. Everyone knew that it was going to be a bad year. Everyone knew that they were going to take a quarterback. I didn't even care how they played this year because it was all about getting a high draft pick. And they got 2 high draft picks because the Colts pick they got in the Sauce Gardner trade, which everyone thought was going to be in the high 20s or in the last 2 picks of the first round. That went all the way down to 15.
Thank Daniel Jones's injury for that. But still, you have a great opportunity to get your quarterback for potentially the next 15 years. And you also can get another piece, which, gosh, where don't the Jets need help? Running back, I think Breece Hall's doing a pretty good job, but offensive line and obviously defensive back, no interceptions this year. There's a lot of holes that need to be filled.
All right, so can I just say, Chico, or 2, 3, and 4 in the AFC, the worst slate of division winners wild card weekend in history.
You know what? After a season like we had last season, absolutely nothing shocks me anymore. But the thing of it is just the parody of it all,
Yeah,
no,
but that's
there's
not
no,
what...
no. Hold on, no. Parody my ass. They are horrible.
No,
I mean,
you
when
want
you
to talk about horrible? The NFC.
Well, no.
NFC.
Well, let's go back to no. Let's go back to the AFC first. When you look at the 2, 3, and 4 seeds, legitimately, every single one of those top seeds could go down. You've got, as much as we may hate Josh Allen, you've got Josh Allen going against pretty boy franchise quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and you've got the Chargers with presumably Justin Herbert. Hopefully it's not Trey Lance after last week, because that was a stinker of an effort. Going against New England with Drake May. I'm not going to say Drake May is bad, but the New England Patriots this year played one of the most cheesecake schedules in NFL history. And then you've got the Texans going against the Steelers. CJ Stroud has looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback the last 10 weeks against the Steelers, who, well, they have Aaron Rodgers, and we all know how we feel about him.
Well, also, his ass had to be carried by the freaking refs in Detroit and a freaking missed field goal.
Well, there are a couple of missed field goals. If you saw the ending to the Steelers and Ravens last week, that was actually a good 2 minutes, but if you were a kicker in those last 2 minutes, man, you stunk up the joint.
I don't think you're giving Drake May the credit he deserves.
Oh, give me a break.
I mean,
yeah, well, but again, you look at the schedule the New England Patriots played. I'm pulling it up because they played a cupcake schedule. Let's start week 1. They played the Dolphins, win. Jets, win. Ravens, they won. Even though, well, the Ravens this year really sucked to start the year. They lost to the Bills. Giants, win. Bengals, win. Jets, win. Buccaneers, win. Falcons, win. Browns, win. Titans, win. Saints, win. Bills, they got to win. Panthers, they got to win. Steelers, they lost. Dolphins, they won, albeit by 6 points. And then the Raiders, they lost, but that was week 18, and nobody gives a flying you-know-what about week 18 unless there's true playoff implications. So, again, look at these teams that they beat. The only teams that are legitimately good that they beat, yes, they beat the Panthers, but they beat the Bills, and maybe the Buccaneers. I'll put them sort of on the cusp because the Buccaneers almost made the playoffs. But all of the rest of these teams that they beat suck. Dolphins twice. Jets twice. Browns. Bengals. Ravens when the Ravens absolutely sucked. The Saints. Don't tell me that's not a cupcake schedule.
I'm not saying it's not a cupcake schedule. I'm saying that the team was able to stand the schedule besides,
Okay. What school did the quarterback for New England go to?
What?
Yes, say it!
North Carolina. That besides. This is like Greg cheering for the Jets to succeed in spite of Woody Johnson.
Wait.
First off, there's never been a reason the last decade for me to cheer in spite of Woody Johnson. Okay? If there was, I would fucking be doing something on Sundays other than doing something else than watch the Jets.
Hey, Greg, I think I need to make a change in my background from what we've got here. I think I got to go back to this. But you can replace... well, you can replace one person's name with Drake May, and you can replace the other person's name. Well, it's not me and it's not you, Greg.
You know what you can do, Mike? You know what you can do with that orange?
Cut it up into wedges and throw it on my ass in a baby pool?
Yeah, that's exactly what you can do with that orange.
I'm not going to get my vitamin C by doing that.
Well, that's the perfect way to end this. We thank you for listening to Before the Show 9. And we'll see you with our next episode, which is going to be Chico's Money in the Bank episode. And like last week, we're going to be talking about a magician. But it's not going to be about Victor Prono and Billy Barty and Joe Gibb trying to replace a presidential candidate with a double real than even
Wait, Greg. We didn't talk about them. We referred to them, but they weren't on the episode we talked about last week.
I know, but still.
You just want to mention Joe Gabe, and you wanted to mention Billy Barty. I know.
And Victor Porno. I want to mention King Tut.
Can't blame you there.
Anything to mention Victor Buono?
That's right. Well, let's oh, wait a minute. I forgot to mention, Mike, before we close this out. You told me the Oregon Duck has a signed card in Bowman U.
Well, somebody posted it on the Sports Card Nonsense group, and I think it was one that they pulled, or maybe they wanted to buy, but the asking price was $2,000.
Oh, well. You know, it's the Duck. He's worth $2,000, so.
But in the Bowman U this year, they put in, I think, just signed cards. I don't think they had unsigned cards. Signed cards of mascots. Because I've seen the Oregon Duck, I showed them earlier, and I saw the Bulldog for Georgia. We're obviously not the living one, the mascot, the one that's in the suit. And I haven't seen Brutus Buckeye yet, but I've seen a number of them. I think like Sparty has a card for the Michigan State Spartans. But yeah, so apparently this card's for sale. This guy wants it, but this guy's not going to spend $2,000 on it, which really, as much as we love the Oregon Duck, it's not a $2,000 card. I probably wouldn't pay much more than, if I was a buyer, more than probably about $400 or $500.
Now, hold on a second. What if Big Red had a signed card? How much would we pay for that?
At least $100.
Greg, we've done some stupid purchases in the past week, buying Knott's Landing slides and buying a slide of Cesar Romero holding oranges. I think if Big Red had a card, seriously, we could just go to the bank and be like, I want to withdraw every penny from my bank account because I got to buy this card. But also, Big Red is more of a basketball mascot than a football mascot. I know he does football, but we associate him with basketball.
Yes.
Well, hold on a second. Maybe Bowman U this year for basketball, maybe they'll put mascots in that set. Maybe you'll get like the Ram for North Carolina. Maybe you'll get like the Duke Blue Devil. Maybe you'll get Big Red. Anything's possible.
Well, anything's possible indeed. So that's going to do it for Before the Show 9. And we'll come back with the Magician sometime later this week. And also a new Squared Circle Time Machine.
Last week. We're coming
back.
Yeah,
Greg, it's not the Magician. It's Black's Magic.
Black's, whatever. The Magician. Black's, they're about magic. It's the same damn show to me. Oh, by the way, I mentioned that me and Dane, we recorded a new Squared Circle Time Machine, and we're going to be talking about the Hulkster and TNA Wrestling, brother.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So that's coming up on the network this week. So we'll see you with those episodes coming up down the pike soon. Wow!
One of the biggest villains on the show, of course, was the Joker, played by the great late Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
Who was a romantic lead and a great dancer and everything. And I heard that he in real life was gay. And, I mean, to quote Jerry Seinfeld, not that there's anything wrong with that. but here's the rumor I heard, and please tell me it's true. Even if you've never heard this rumor, for God's sakes, Adam, tell me this is true.
So far, I've never heard it.
Okay. I heard Cesar Romero used to hire young boys, and he would stand there, pull his pants and underwear down, and they would fling orange wedges at his ass.
I'd love to see the look on Adam's face, right?
Hello?
Yes, yes. Just say, yes, Gilbert, that's true.
I've heard more damn rumors around that town. And Caesar, well, I'll tell you, I don't think I was that cute. Caesar didn't make a play for me, I'll tell you. But he was always a perfect gentleman. The thing about Caesar was he thought he was a great Latin lover. And indeed, his career was based mostly on his mustache. At least that's what he believed. He was very modest. And so he wouldn't shave it. So we said, well, that's fine. Just put some white makeup over it. Toward the end of the day, it'll pop out. It'll be funny.
And he was always wearing a wristwatch, the Joker. Was there a story attached to that, too?
I don't know. I never noticed.
Oh, I read somewhere that he got the wristwatch as a gift from the president of Mexico, and he refused to take it off. I don't know if that's like the oranges.
So
it isn't, but it's the wrong time.
He never asked you to fling orange wedges at his ass, is what I want to know.
No.
No. Okay.
No, I think it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard. You know? I think it's very funny.
Welcome to the show, Adam.
Well, it's wonderful fun. I had no idea when I answered this phone that I would be treated like that. No, that I would hear things like that. This is funny. It's funny.
Meanwhile.
Greg.
Karen, I've got something to tell you.
What?
Well, now that Laura's dead, I feel I can tell you.
Tell me what?
Several years ago, I was in a car wreck, and I've had extensive plastic surgery. I am not Greg.
You're...
You got it, baby. I'm Sid.